Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a game that simply has its hooks in me. It doesn't matter what I'm playing, what I'm reviewing, there's one game constantly calling my name in the back of my head, scratching the right itch at the right time. That title is Dragon Quest Builders 2, a game that I made no secret when I saw it at E3 for the first time ever. I was very pumped. Give me this game, bro. I am so about this right now. You have no idea. It has quickly soared up my Game of the Year list. I am very much enjoying it, and so what I'm here to do is preach the good word of Dragon Quest Builders 2 and hopefully convince you to maybe give it a look. So let's get started with what I think is a common misrepresentation. It clearly took inspiration from Minecraft, but to call it a Minecraft clone, I don't think represents it well. Now, I don't want to say it does it a disservice because Minecraft is great in my opinion, but I think that this game goes beyond a little bit what Minecraft tries to do. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is a lot more quest driven. It goes beyond the building. So let's start off in that area. There is combat in this game, which yes, Minecraft also has combat, but this game really focuses on combat because you can fight enemies in the open world. You can also defend your base. So combat is a big part of the game and it's serviceable, we'll call it. It's not super deep by any means. All the attacking is mapped to one single button. You don't really have a dodge button. You can rather just jump out of the way of attacks. But what's cool is sort of the agency you have over how the surroundings of combat go. Naturally kitting yourself out with weapons and armor, but also your companion Malroth, who has unique weapons for himself, so unlocking those is quite exciting. And furthermore, you can also kit out your villagers, so when your village does get attacked, you can have them back you up, so it makes sense to invest in creating new materials and engaging in that combat. Also, when you level up after combat, you unlock new mechanics like, for example, a charge attack. It's not deep, it's not crazy good. I think this combat system could actually benefit from some magic, but it does the job and serves to a piece of the gameplay loop. Now, what you really are in this game is a builder. You inspire people to overcome their fear of the children of Hargon and build. Now, the children of Hargon are the main antagonist for Dragon Quest Builders 2, and it leads to some really solid world building where people are legitimately afraid to build because builders are labeled as the bringers of desolation and despair and destruction. So people have stopped growing crops, people have stopped creating buildings, and you're there just as a natural builder to inspire them to do the opposite and fight back against the children of Hargon. It all starts off with a long tutorial, which I personally preferred as a noob. I've never played the original game, and quite honestly, it's been since, this is going to be a really weird statement, but Fallout 4 since I played any type of build-a-thon style game, and that really wasn't a build-a-thon type game, but it had a lot of settlement building. So Minecraft has been something that I haven't touched in a stupid long time, meaning that Dragon Quest Builders was a pretty fresh experience for me, and that may factor a bit into my enjoyment, but still, I gotta say, man, this game is so addicting. So let's talk about the actual building, what gets its hooks in you. It's very satisfying creating something and seeing it come to life. There's tons of materials you can use to create buildings or fields of crops. Now, what's neat about Dragon Quest Builders 2, in my opinion, is when you properly decorate an area with certain items, let's say you add a rope or farming tools into a building, or you fence it off at a particular size, the area will be labeled. At that point, rooms are given a purpose and aren't just left to your imagination anymore. So a great example of this we're going to use is the agricultural kitchen. What happens with the agricultural kitchen is you put in, let's say, some sacks of flour, you put in some campfires to cook on, and the room gets labeled as such. Now, if you have a chest in there with cooking materials, some of your villagers will go in there, take materials out of the chest, and start cooking. So now food is being made while you're away doing quests, exploring the world. So it gives you that feeling of two birds, one stone. You're completing one thing while doing another. It's one less headache almost. It's one less thing to worry about. And it's that feeling of progress always happening. It's simply intoxicating. There's also the blueprint system, which is for a more specific type of buildings where the game directs you with the proper type of materials you need to use. It's less about how can you build this area and what do you want to use to do so, and really this is how it needs to be built. But what's great about the blueprint system is it eventually evolves into something as well that your villagers can do. Once again, you lay down the blueprint, you put a chest down, you put the materials in there, you go off and quest while your villagers get to building. It's once again providing that two birds, one stone feeling, which I just find oh so enjoyable and satisfying. But all this building and creating has to amount to something, right? As you complete quests, create rooms, and blow people's mind with your abilities, hearts will pour out of them that you can collect. Seriously, these folks will drop hearts even if they're watering plants. They love building. You've created this town and they are obsessed with building. It's amazing. Now get enough of these and your base will level up. Now, when a base levels up, your fellow villagers will gain brand new abilities and you shall unlock a bunch of recipes to continue building new stuff. Now, when your villagers level up, this is more along the lines of they can now start planting crops and then they can start watering more crops or they can start building stuff for you. So it's important to invest in your bases, level those up so then your villagers become more capable. And it makes sense because the way it levels up is by you investing time and resources in there. So it's like they're being inspired by you, they're learning from you, the hearts are pouring out. So it's a gameplay system that genuinely makes sense, but also is fun and evolves and becomes this really gripping mechanic. Oh, hey, would you mind putting that over there? Is right over here good, bro? Yeah, there's perfect. Sure thing, bro. I'll put it right here, bro. Thanks. I love you, bro. You're amazing, man. You build like a champ, man. I love you, man. Recipes are unlocked through quests as well, and there are tons. It's actually really, really terrifying just how many are in this game. A lot of it's about the evolution for Dragon Quest Builders 2, because eventually it becomes about a combined building effort, whether it's online with friends or in the world with your fellow builders. Placing chests next to blueprints with proper materials will get your villagers building, or having seeds in a chest next to a field with the preferred selected crop will get them planting. This allows for that feeling, once again, of the two birds, one stone and focusing elsewhere. Furthermore, one of the things I found really neat about this game is some of the NPCs are, we'll say, procedurally generated. They're just the same looking models and they come out and they join your village as you grow more and more. But there are unique NPCs with names and personalities, and it sort of adds to a certain charm that this game legitimately has that I love to death. On top of that surprisingly good world building I mentioned, using the history and presence of the previous builder and toying with the Dragon Quest lore, you have yourself amazing writing. Yes, really, there's just something super charming about it. It's not deep on the level of KOTOR 2, but it's something really enjoyable that makes me smile a bunch. There's fantastic music, the animations are cutesy, the little sounds the characters make. It brings something together that's lovable and inviting. It makes me want to be in the world of Dragon Quest Builders 2 and keep making my villagers happy. I mean, for God's sakes, if you sprint around, your guy Naruto runs. Hello? Quite honestly, this game makes me really want to play the Dragon Quest series. Whether it's true to it or not is a completely different discussion, but I'm very inexperienced in the Dragon Quest universe. I've only played the PS2 demo disc of Dragon Quest VIII. That was my only experience with this franchise, and I enjoyed that experience, mind you, but I was a very young kid at the time, so I had no idea what I was doing at that point. What's that? Dragon Quest XI's coming to the Switch? Oh, joy. Problem solved. There's just a whimsical charm, a good sense of humor in this game, a sense of joy and positivity. I love the character concepts for sure. It's something about Dragon Quest, man. It's really good. I can't believe it's taken me this long to understand why it's great, and it took a builder game, no less, as someone who loves RPGs, to get that. But that's also a big part of it, is that the Dragon Quest Builder series felt more like an RPG on top of a builder rather than a builder first then an RPG. There's just something really neat going on underneath the surface that I think grabs me in a very specific way. Now, I have heard a bit of complaints from some reviews that I'd like to address. I don't want to act like the game's perfect. A lot of people talk about load screens and frame rates being an issue. However, I have yet to encounter this, and mind you, I'm playing on the Switch, and I played obviously docked to go ahead and create the footage for this video review, and as I invested more and more time, buildings get bigger, more NPCs come in, and the game never really chugged for me. I never had this issue. I'm not saying it'll never happen. I understand as the world gets bigger and bigger and it adds all these resources in, I'm sure at some point or another it's going to chug on that console, but I really haven't experienced it. Now, as for the loading screens, when you warp around the specific island, which is just taking you from point A to point B in that one self-contained area, it's relatively quick. It's 5 seconds top. Once again, on a Switch. And when you go from island to island, my loading screen was 10, 15 seconds tops. Really nothing that bad where I thought it was something I had to complain about. In fact, I think it works quite fine, because once you get to that island and you're warping all over the place, discovering everything, and it's just really a fade to black, fade in sort of thing. I wouldn't even call it a load screen. That the one load screen that does take a decent amount of time, doesn't matter. The only time there is a significant loading screen is upon booting up the game. It literally starts up into a loading screen and you sit there for a good 40 seconds or so. Now, if you're like me and you put your Switch on sleep mode a lot, you throw in the charger and you pick up and you keep playing it, you keep resuming play like that, you'll be just fine. But if you're like a lot of people who tend to power it down, then this is something that will become an issue because there is that very long loading screen to get in. But I recommend if you do play this on the Switch, you do go ahead and throw it in sleep mode. However, this is a title I would never really have an issue with playing on console. And the reason I say that is because when I docked it, I felt like the experience was still as enjoyable. There's some type of mentality factor with the Switch where some games feel right when you're playing portable and some feel better docked. This is one game that I didn't really have a positive or negative impact either way, so it could work each way, meaning that if you're looking on console, you don't own a Switch, that you can still get Dragon Quest Builders 2 and enjoy it. Anyway, that's kind of me wrapping up my general thoughts on this game. I love it so much, guys. It's so much fun. You know, anytime I can kick my feet up and play for a couple hours each night, it feels like you make a lot of progress in a short amount of time. It's not one of those games where you pick up and it's like a process. You really got to get into it, and right as you start getting headway, it's already time to shut it off. So if you're limited on time, don't be intimidated. You make progress fast. A lot of the resources that you learn to make has a whole reference menu. So let's say you're very spotty with your playtime, you won't forget that type of stuff because there will always be a guide to go back to and flip through. So just keep that stuff in mind, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking into this game. I love it to death, so I hope you guys enjoyed if you do give it a try. Let me know if you're going to in the comments down below or tweet at me, whichever works. And that'll conclude it for me. I'm looking forward to seeing what you all have to say down below. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.